なんですって風よ、私に応えるのだ。料理の時間だよ。無双の風、しびれさせちゃうのよ。逃がさないわよ。しびれなさい。熱々でしょ。早く遠くも。熱々でしょ。話が通じない。7号式モジュール。やみつきにならないで。そんな乱暴はやめて。逃がさないわ。師匠の技を食らいなさい。超拡散計画。しびれさせて。料理の時間だよ。7号式モジュール。風の神。ちょっとビリビリさせないと逃がさないわ。風よ、私に。は？しびれなさい。料理の時間だよ。逃がさない。ちょっとビリビリさせないと。早く投稿。師匠の技を食らいなさい。吸引テスト開始。しびれさせちゃう。
Hey guys, just wanted to look at something really simple and easy-ish, sort of, maybe. I don't know. We're going to be looking at rapid-fire 10,000 damage overloads, or 15,000 damage overloads. Here we are in Inazuma with Lisa, and we're going to be using a team with Jean, Sucrose, and Xiangling. These are the characters that I've chosen to use, but you can obviously substitute these characters with any one of your choosing in order to succeed in this particular way of playing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and fight against our now new test dummy, Masanori-san. He is basically going to allow us to spar with him on a regular basis. You basically just need to talk to him, and that's pretty much it. And then we're going to begin. First things first, we're going to drop Gooba, and then I'm going to use the Sucrose special. And now I'm going to rapid fire with Lisa. And now we're just going to wait for Gooba to come back. Same idea, rinse and repeat. So we're already doing some pretty hefty damage. We're not doing a lot of damage on its own, but I think when we're doing like 12k, 10k, 12k on the overloads, and they're rapid fire overloads, mind you, we can do a lot of damage altogether. Obviously the problem comes with when Masanori decides to run the hell away, so at that point we're going to use Pyronado. There's no running away from the Pyronado now. So we're gonna now burn him down. Burn him down! There we go. Just like that. So let's have a look at what we're relying on with the builds for this particular combination. And these are the builds that we're going to be using. Now the first one is going to be Lisa. Basically we're looking at a Thundering Fury build. And the idea is that we're going to be using an Elemental Mastery Hourglass. And this is actually going to be a running theme between Lisa and Xiangling. But outside of that, on top of the build that I'm using for Lisa, we're going to be increasing our overload damage by 40%. And the fun thing about using this with Lisa is that trigger such effects will then decrease my elemental skill cooldown by a second, which allows me to also rapid fire my special tap if I so desire. Outside of that, we've got a HB flower with these stats. We've got an attack feather, like all feathers with these stats. my hourglass is what it is. I've got this electro damage cup like so, and I have a crit damage cup like so. Ultimately, the crit damage doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But that does bring my Lisa stats all the way up to 52% crit rate, 137% crit damage. Not that that's really meaningful when it comes to using overloads. So at that point, I feel like when I'm rapid firing with overloads, I'm actually doing more damage than if I were to go for a full crit build like that. With Jean, it's really just all about that healing, so this is not really a particularly important build. The only thing that I really care about is the fact that I'm using Sacrificial Sword, and I'm also using a 4-piece Viridescent Venera just in case I feel like actually using the Venera set. The Venera set, of course, being very useful in decreasing opponent elemental resonance to the element that is infused by the swirl by 40%. And this is the exact same idea when it comes to using Sucrose. Using the same idea, I'm running a 4-piece Viridescent Venera set. Of course, 2 of those artifacts are in fact 4-star, but that's kind of irrelevant. I'm not exactly using her for damage purposes. And I'm using Sacrificial Fragments, just like Jean using Sacrificial Sword. That's the idea. Now, when it comes to Sucrose, I feel like she's actually really important in this because one of her talents happens to be called Catalyst Conversion, i.e. it increases the elemental mastery by 50 for anyone who has the matching elements. That is actually really, really good for Xiangling. But then we also have Mollis Favonius, where if I use her skill or if I use her ultimate, I get to increase everyone's elemental mastery by 20% of Sucrose elemental mastery by 8 seconds. Now, how much elemental mastery does Sucrose have at the present moment? Currently sitting at 596, so 20% of that is more than 100. So it's a lot of extra elemental mastery, and the way we're actually achieving that is by running a full elemental mastery hat and an elemental mastery timepiece, although I haven't really fully leveled it up, and it is a 4-star, so it is what it is. But the idea is I'm just using this 4-star to keep with the set. So the elemental mastery hat has the substats as is. I have a defense cup for no reason, this is really just to keep the set. Elemental mastery timepiece has these stats. My feather has these stats. My flower has these stats. It is what it is. And then of course we have Xiangling, and Xiangling in my opinion is probably very, very good for this particular combo if you're going to be using someone as your main damage who isn't Xiangling or who isn't a pyro. If you want to use someone like Yan Fei, that could be a very fun way to do this as well, in which case you'll probably want to use someone like Beidou or Lisa as your support. But for me, I like to use Xiangling as support, and the reason why I find that Xiangling as support is really, really good, in my experience anyway, is through the use of one of the new weapons called Kitane Crossspear. The idea that when Goober hits an enemy, I suddenly get to regenerate a lot of energy on top of the fact that Goober is actually hitting an enemy. So that means that I can actually bring out Pyronado even faster. Right now I have it at Refinement Rank 2, with every intention of bringing it all the way up to Refinement Rank 5 when I mine enough rocks for the damn thing. I actually have enough pole arm bullets, I think they're called, or billets or whatever the hell they're called, so I can actually build them if I have enough rocks. But my attributes for Xiangling are sitting at 241 elemental mastery, which by the way is actually pretty similar to the amount of elemental mastery that I have for Lisa. So when I use something like a 4-piece Crimson Witch, it means that I can actually do even more overloaded damage as well, about a similar amount to Lisa. So at that point, I don't actually care who's triggering the overload because I'll basically be getting the same amount of overload damage for the most part. So in terms of the artifacts, we're going to be looking at a flower with these stats, feather with these stats, a defense base timepiece for the time being, but it has some elemental mastery. This is really to keep the set at the moment. I would like to find an elemental mastery Crimson Witch, but I have not been able to. I've got a pyro damage cup with these stats, and I also have a crit damage hat with these stats. Yes, I am running crit damage on Xiangling, so I end up with crit stats like this, 33% crit rate, 145% crit damage. So basically every third Goober hit happens to do a lot more damage by itself, but it still doesn't do as much damage as the overloads. So for the time being, I really don't care about the crit stats, I just care about the overloads. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. This is just a different way to play Genshin. A lot of people will always use heavy crit builds, and frankly so do I. But I am really enjoying the full blast overload build. specifically going for that rapid fire overload just means that my damage output actually increases by a massive amount. Now you could actually turn around and try to use a Vaporize build or try to use a melt combo if you want, but generally speaking, in my experience anyway, those kinds of combos tend to rely on a very big hit, especially if you're not using something like Zhangling, and at that point I get the feeling that I'm just going to be doing more damage if I use overloads on a regular basis. Especially if I'm using Lisa, because that is the power of Lisa. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!
熱々でしょ7号式モジュール早く投稿ちょっとビリビリさせないとねいざショッツ剣に誓う安全距離5番火よちょっとビリビリさせないとね